Alright, so in this project we're going to be building a Twitter Bootstrap template with a little bit of animation. And if you don't know what Twitter Bootstrap is, it's basically an HTML5 CSS3 framework that you can use for building HTML templates. And it's really popular. I think one of the reasons is because it's easy to use. If you go to the Bootstrap site, there's all kinds of code snippets that you can just plug in, and it'll style things, buttons, blocks. You can even have JavaScript components like carousels and tabs and things like that, drop downs. And I would say probably within the last year or so, every HTML template that I built, I'd say about 90% of them I've used Bootstrap, just because it's nice and clean, and it's really easy to use. So let's take a look at what we're going to be building. Basically, it's a template with a lot of different menu items, but we're only going to be building the home page. Basically, if you want to build the inner page, it'll be the same code, except you might not want this big showcase area. So basically, if you saw that, if I reload, you can see that image comes and slides into place. Now I called this template scroll place because what we're going to do is have a little animation that goes off when we scroll down to it. Alright, so if I go ahead and scroll down, you can see that this image is actually three images. We have the monitor, and then we have the laptop, and then the tablet and mobile phone that's all one image. Alright, so we're having both of these on the side slide in when we scroll down. Alright, so if you can see, and I also have it so if you scroll back up, that it goes back into place, so you can keep watching it. Alright, so it's a really modern style. You see a lot of templates like this now. A big showcase area, then you have kind of sections that span across the page. We have a little footer with some lists. Alright, and I also have it so when we scroll down, the header right here actually goes clear. Okay, so the opacity it adjusts when you scroll down, up and down. And we're also going to be using a service called Font Awesome, which gives us these cool little icons here. Okay, so we just have to basically include a class and we can get these icons. Alright, so it's going to be probably be a good size project, but like I said, we're not going to do the inner pages. We do have a little drop down here. Okay, so we can resize this. This is also a responsive template. Okay, looks really good like this as well. Okay, so this is how it would look. Now what I did here, I actually have it so when you're viewing it on a mobile phone, we're not going to have that animation, just because it's a really small screen and the positioning can get all messed up and not look very good. But you can see if we go back up to a tablet size, then we have that functionality back. Alright, so that's what we'll be building. Let's go ahead and create our folder structure. Oh, and by the way, these images here, I have a PSD that I'm including in the program files, which has the layered images here. So you have the desktop on one layer, and then the other two images on their own layers. So you can do what you want with that. You can go ahead and change the screen or whatever. I just figured I'd include that. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a folder, and let's call this, I'm just going to call it BS template. Alright, so we'll create an index file. And now we need to go and get the Bootstrap files. Alright, so we're going to go to getbootstrap.com and click on download Bootstrap, and then right here download Bootstrap. I don't want that. So open up the zip file. Okay, so you'll get this zip file. Click on that, and what we want to do is bring all of this into our project folder. Alright, so first let's go ahead and look at the CSS folder. Basically all we need here is bootstrap.css. Okay, we're not using any of the themes or anything like that. This one is just a minified version of bootstrap.css, meaning there's no comments or white space. It's just built, it's a little smaller, but it doesn't really matter. We're just going to use bootstrap.css. So go ahead and delete the rest of those. And then in the JavaScript folder, you have the minified and regular version. I'm just going to delete the minified version. And this will allow us to have our drop downs and also our responsive menu. Fonts, these are actually icons that you can use that's included with Bootstrap, but we're going to use something called Font Awesome, which I'm going to go to now and get. So I believe it's font-awesome. Right. Sorry about that. And this is the website. Alright, so what we want to do is click download, and we'll open that zip file. Now on their website, if you click on icons right here, it shows you all of the icons that are available, and there's just a ton of them. Alright, so basically if I click on one of these, it's going to give us the class, it's going to give us the code to put to get the icon. Basically what we're doing here is using an I tag and adding a class of two classes. One is FA, you always want to include that, and then the actual name of the icon. In this case it's FA refresh. Okay, so that's going to give us this icon. And to change the size, if I just open up Chrome Tools and I click on one of these bigger ones, you can see it has the FA refresh, and then FA-5, which is it specifies a certain size. Okay, so you can actually change the size of the icons. Okay, so that's all we need to do. We just need to include our the files here. So what we want to do is in our fonts folder, we want to open up the Font Awesome fonts folder and then bring these over. Okay, we also want the CSS. Okay, so we're going to bring in fontawesome.css. Okay, you don't have to worry about the less or the SCSS. Okay, so that's all we need to do. Now we just need to link everything in our HTML file. So let's open that up. Now what I usually do with Bootstrap is I'll go to their website and click on examples. Alright, and they give you a bunch of examples here, so I'm gonna just click on the starter template. Alright, and then I'm gonna do a Control U, which will allow us to view the source code, and then I'm just gonna select all of it and copy it. Okay, go back to our index file, I'm gonna paste it in, and we're just gonna change some things. Okay, so we have a basic layout here. We'll keep the character sets, the viewport. We don't need description, author, or favicon. Okay, our title, let's just change that to scroll place bootstrap template. And then to link to our CSS, you can see that this is going to, it's going up a few folders and then into the dist folder. Ours is going to be right in our CSS folder, so we can get rid of this. And we're using just bootstrap.css. Okay, now this here, this starter template.css is just part of the example template that we just saw. We don't need this, but what we're going to do is replace this, okay, with a file called style.css, which is the style sheet that we're going to do our work in, and that's going to be in the CSS folder as well. And actually, let's create that now before we forget. So in the CSS folder, I'm going to create style.css. Now I want the template for now to look like the demo, so if we go to the sample template here and we do a Control U to view the source code, I'm going to select this starter template CSS and open that, and it's just got some padding for the body and then a class here. So I'm just going to copy this for now and put that in the style CSS that we just created and save it. Alright, so as you can see, we have the navigation is included in this sample template, and then there's just there's a heading, there's a div with a heading and a paragraph. And then down here we have a reference for jQuery, and then for the Bootstrap JavaScript file. Now we want to remove this here, this dist, and then these dots and slashes, so it just goes to the JavaScript folder. And then bootstrap.min, we want to get rid of this .min because we just have bootstrap.js. And then this here we can delete. And if we save that, now our template should look like the sample template. So I'm going to close all these and go ahead and open up the index file, and there we go. Okay, so we have something to work with, and you can see that if we make the screen smaller, we have a responsive menu. Okay, so we get this drop down for mobile devices, so it's really cool. So in the next video we'll start to customize this, we'll add some content and start creating some CSS, and then we'll move on to animation.